I was doing some research on Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin is pretty cool. It's what they call the cryptographic currency, and many people would argue it's the very first implementation we have of a decentralized digital currency. It all sounds very modern, very fresh, very neat, very cool. However, there's a few problems with it that I want to discuss. I have some ideas. Hear me out on this one. It appears that there is a fatal flaw with Bitcoin, and I suspect that if this video gets at all popular, I'm going to have all kinds of Bitcoin advocates coming to comment on the video to let me know about all the ways in which I'm just profoundly wrong. Basically, with how it works, there being all transactions independently verified by every single person in the Bitcoin network, and by the idea that when there is a Bitcoin in existence, it exists on a hard drive somewhere, basically. Now, what happens if a hard drive fails? What happens if it's destroyed? Here's the kicker. So is the Bitcoin. And while the algorithm of Bitcoin allows that there will never be more than 21 million total Bitcoins in existence, this means that if the Bitcoin economy were to grow to any sort of a so-called sustainable level within the next several years, and the value of it skyrockets, here's what happens over time, is that slowly Bitcoins begin to literally vanish off of the face of the earth, or at least in terms of how they're used in transactions across the Bitcoin economy in the Bitcoin network. You still with me? Basically what this means is that when you lose a hard drive, you also lose the Bitcoin. When you lose the Bitcoin is out of circulation and out of existence forever. What this has the effect of doing is creating deflation over time. So gradually you'll notice a stagnation of the Bitcoin economy. Now that's assuming that the protocol for this stays the same. If they had a way of figuring out how to stop deleted Bitcoins, then they could theoretically easily fix this problem. But the question is how do you fix it to a proper degree? How do you know when there's active and inactive Bitcoins? And how do you know to what degree you should change the supply? And does everyone in the network want to agree to the same sort of idea? Also, if you can even figure out how to do that, are you actually effectively changing the way that the currency actually works? These are important problems, and so the big fatal flaw of Bitcoin is that while central banking currencies like the fiat money of the US dollar or the euro or yen or whatever, those are all going to die a slow, painful death due to inflation, whereas Bitcoin, it seems, under the current model that it exists under, is going to die under slow deflation. And one of the big secrets is that the community of Bitcoin doesn't really deny that deflation is going to happen. They know that this is how it works. You can look this information up. So what's going to be done about it? I don't know. And there's a question of how long or whether or not people should continue to participate in the Bitcoin economy, or if Bitcoin should just be used as a medium of exchange at all. I mean, isn't the whole thing just sort of an experimental open source type of project? Well, no, not exactly, because at the current time I'm making this video, all the Bitcoins in circulation in terms of trade value are worth a total of about $97 million. So this is somewhat important. And it's important to a lot of people who are using the digital currency. And, some would argue, the solution is simple. Once deflation begins to happen, then we'll just create new units, because this can be carried out to 8 decimal places. So it's possible we could extend the number of decimal places that Bitcoin could be used in terms of transactions, or we could just use micro Bitcoins or whatever. But that still doesn't address the problem of the fact that Bitcoins will continue to vanish. So eventually the currency and the Bitcoin economy itself is doomed to collapse under the existing protocol. However, hopefully they'll fix the Bitcoin